Trucker Dump for February 2nd, 2010, episode 37, Typing Mad at the TSA.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Oh boy, do I remember this day vividly. Hey folks, Todd McCann here. This podcast reflects one of my most memorable experiences in trucking. Not in a good way. Pretty much everyone these days hates the TSA. No one likes to get felt up by strangers. Well, okay, some people do. But most people only associate the TSA with passengers who are traveling by air. But what about us truckers who are delivering air freight to the airports? It happens all the time. Fortunately, it doesn't usually happen like this. Let's check out Typing Mad at the TSA. Okay, I admit it. I just lost my cool. But this time, I'm not apologizing for it. I've been known to snap at people now and then. If I realized that I was wrong, I'd sometimes feel guilty, not always, and apologize to the person who got snapped at. Unless it's the Evil Overlord, of course. Never admit to your spouse that you are wrong about anything. So here's how it went down. Let me start by saying I'm not having a good day. I woke up with the Evil Overlord ripping the covers off me and telling me she didn't make good time. She insisted I figured up our average. This happens on a regular basis, the insisting and the making bad time, not the cover ripping. So I don't blame her for my venom-spitting attitude. You might ask, what's an average? What we mean is the mile per hour that we have to average in order to deliver on time. I divide the total miles left on the trip by the number of hours that we have to do it. That determines whether we eat fast food or if we have time to eat healthier. Sometimes math and mornings just don't mix. This cheery morning, the average came out to 83 miles per hour. Uh-oh. Thus, the crappy attitude ensues. We're on yet another hot load, this time from Indianapolis, Indiana to Oakland, California. Like I said, it was a hot load, but I really didn't think we were doing that poorly on this particular trip. We weren't. You see, there's these things called time zones. I've been dealing with time zones for 13 years now, and every so often one jumps up and kicks me square in the teeth. It turns out that California is on Pacific time, which is 2 hours behind the central time zone that we run on. Behind, Todd. Behind. I had figured it 2 hours ahead. So instead of 83 miles per hour, we really only had to average 35 miles an hour. Of course, I didn't realize this until I sped all the way across Donner Pass and got into Sacramento. Once I realized my mistake, my mood only got worse. Sure, we'd be on time now, but what kind of an idiot makes a mistake like that? Don't answer that. Now I arrive at the receiver. I'll not name names, but I've been here before, so I know the procedure. The last time I was here, the guard shack asked if I had a co-driver. Since I did, they wanted to see the Evil Overlord's driver's license. Now, I'd rather punch a mafia warlord in the gonads than reach my hand into the Evil Overlord's purse, so I had to wake her up to find her ID. I always hate waking her up, and she wasn't overly pleased with me, but hey, a couple of black eyes is a price you have to pay sometimes. Anyway, this time I was fully prepared. Before we even got to the receiver, I already had the Evil Overlord's ID in hand. I was feeling pretty smug for remembering to ask her while she was still awake. I pull up, and the woman at the guard shack asks for my paperwork. No problem, here you go. Then she asked me for my ID. Happy to oblige. Next she asks, do you have anyone in the back? Yes, I do. I handed her the Evil Overlord's ID before she could even ask for it. That's when it happened. The guard shack Nazi told me she needed to see my co-driver's face. I admit, I snapped. Oh, come on, that's bull. I didn't have to wake her up the last time I was here. It all went downhill from there. Hitler grabbed the phone and slammed the window shut like I was holding a flamethrower to her head. I was good and pissed by then, so I hollered back and told the Evil Overlord that they needed to see her face. After some cussing, she put some clothes on and stuck her grouchy-looking face out through the curtain. I tried to get the guard's attention to tell her that my co-driver's face was now visible. She didn't respond, so I honked the little horn, not the big air horn. That's when 4 more guards rounded the corner in a hurry and stepped into the guard shack. I overheard Hitler say that I was cussing and calling her names. When one of the other guards asked if that was true, I admitted what I had said but denied calling her any names. Naturally, she said I was lying. That didn't help my mood either. Then the other guard asked me what the problem was. And here's the crux of it, and the reason I'm not apologizing to anyone. When your co-driver's sleeping, they shouldn't be disturbed. One of these days, the people of this great nation are going to have to realize they can't have safe roads and sleepy truck drivers. This goes for waking drivers up in the middle of their sleep, as well as many no idling policies that are becoming law across the nation. I said as much to the guard. He said that it was a TSA rule that both drivers must physically present themselves. I truthfully told him that wasn't the rules the last time I came here. He doubted me as I went on to say that I had never been asked to wake my co-driver up at any of their other facilities throughout the country. In fact, I had never even been asked to produce a co-driver's ID before. I had been asked for her ID at a pickup location, but never a receiver. Keep in mind that I've been truck driving for 13 years and have delivered to this particular unnamed company on and off throughout the years. Now, why would I get so cheesed about all this if every facility asked for an ID and an Evil Overlord sighting? I wouldn't. Actually, I wouldn't still be trucking if that were the case. The guard reiterated to me that it was a TSA rule that had to be followed. I pointed out that the DOT has rules that I must follow too. A driver's logbook is a federal document that's legally binding in every way. Lawyers produce these suckers in a court of law when they want to prove what a driver was up to on any given day. So, in disrupting the Evil Overlord's sleep, I had 2 choices. I could log it as such, and she'd have to start her 10-hour rest period over, or I could ignore that it happened and falsify my logbooks. I'll let you decide which I did. Still, the point is, I've got rules to follow too. I told the guard that waking up a sleeping co-driver would be like me bringing the cops by his house at 3 a.m., knocking on his door and telling him he needed to get his wife out of bed so she could come to the front door. I went on to say, "What the heck do you think my wife is going to do? Run around naked with a bomb strapped to her back?" That did get a laugh out of him, and things started to calm down. Here's a couple more points to prove how stupid all this is. All the loading docks were within plain sight of the guard shack. Really, what was I going to do right there in plain sight? Furthermore, all they wanted the Evil Overlord to do was stick her head out from behind the curtain. What does that really accomplish? For all they know, I had 4 psychotic terrorists wearing C4-laden underwear back there. Anyway, I eventually got my paperwork back and prepared to enter the gate. I turned my ignition switch and nothing. 5 minutes later and a couple of taps on the starter, the old winch finally turned over. So it looks like this worthless pile of rhinoceros dung is going back into the shop for the 6th time. The air conditioning still isn't fixed and our starting issues still aren't worked out. The 6th time. Oh yeah, I see my mood getting better any minute now. Well, I suppose there is one thing I should be thankful for. I finally got a blog post out. Maybe I should get pissed more often. It seems that being all red-faced and buggy-eyed makes me type faster than a squirrel on crack.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
So, do you remember what the last podcast was about? Well, do you? No? Well, of course not. It's about health and trucking. Everybody wants to forget about health and trucking because nobody wants to exercise. I got a couple of comments, one from a non-trucker, one from a trucker. Let's go with Heidi first. She says, "Get your discipline and willpower of steel on." Slap! I've often thought about this regarding truckers. You and the Evil Overlord have my empathy, but you can do it. Maybe splurge once a week, healthy the rest. I don't know, that's gotta be tough. Keep us posted. Well, Heidi, for a long time, we lacked the willpower. Now we have the willpower, but no time to eat healthy. Seriously, nearly every run is so hot we barely have time to take showers anymore. And our friend Kevin McKay says, "I've been lucky lately and my company hasn't given me a lot of downtime. When I was with one of the larger national companies, though, the downtimes came often. If possible, I'd use that time to walk around. I love to explore new places, which is one of the reasons I became a truck driver to begin with. The exercise is good, but unfortunately, most cities in America are not planned with the pedestrian in mind. On top of that, most truck stops are far from civilization, built with a lot of space between the stop and towns with stores, restaurants, and the kind of places worth visiting. Having said that, you have to find the time to exercise. Also, I've found that simply having groceries on board with healthy snacks nearby, it becomes easier to resist the impulse junk food so readily available in truck stops. And it's easier on the wallet, too. Oh boy, Kevin, you struck something there. I'm telling you, if truckers would just get rid of all the junk food hanging out in their truck, they'd probably lose a lot of weight automatically. I mean, I know if I've got a bag of Doritos sitting beside me and a bag of almonds or raisins or something sitting right beside me, I know I'm always going to grab for the frickin' nacho cheese Doritos. I mean, that's just the way we're made. Take away temptation, take away the weight. That's definitely a great tip. As for that walking, well, I just never been much into exploring myself. So, I don't know. Not that it matters, but don't have time anymore anyway. Thanks to you two for your comments. You can still comment on this health and trucking. I'm sure there are lots of other truckers out there who know where all the good trails are and places they can go walk and exercise. It'd be helpful if you'd hop on here and tell everybody else where to do it. Not that everybody's going to do it, but, you know, there's a bigger possibility if we actually know where to go. So let's hear from you truckers who like to stay healthy and like to exercise. I know there's some of you out there because I follow some of you on Twitter. Alright, so everybody remember to send those comments in. And remember, audio comments are welcome. And you know what? I should mention, we're 36? How far are we into this stinking thing? I don't even remember. Well, we're quite a ways in now. And if you've made a comment on a past blog post or a past podcast that I have not responded to, you got to remember that I released 80 some podcasts all at once. So if you're leaving a comment on, say, my first few podcasts or blogs, you may not even hear it until, 85 or 86. So, but just keep the comments coming, because eventually what I'm going to do on the podcast is take all the comments that have come in. I'm not going to just do comments from the last blog post or the last podcast. I'm going to take them from all the way back. So if you make a comment on my first or second blog or podcast, you might not actually hear it until, say, podcast number 90. But hey, it's going to be on there, and I plan on getting everybody's comments out here. So, like I said, keep them coming. And here's all my contact info. Gee, think I put enough venom into that one? So what's your story? Ever had a run-in with the TSA or some other Nazi-like organization with retarded security rules? Let us hear about it. Type TSA into the search bar at abouttruckdriving.com and give us your best rant in the comments section. Hey, it's free, so why not? Also free is follow me on Twitter. Although maybe I should pay you for that torture. I'm Todd McKenna over there. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. iTunes reviews are always appreciated too. I've forgotten something. Oh yeah, email truckerdump@gmail.com. Okay, that about does it. Thanks for listening. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way.